It's wild. Well, it's wonderful to meet you. I'm looking forward to getting in
Yeah.
your story. So let's begin our journey
Sure.
with this. 5 years ago, this
Okay.
pandemic was really, we were wrapping our heads around it. We were a week into it. How much of living through the pandemic has influenced and affected the way that you do work and live life today?
Well, in a way, it was an awakening for me. It really was, because I realized that what we see in the world, right, it's not really what's reality, right? That I think there's forces behind, everything we have been told, and what we have been told is not necessarily the truth in so many different aspects. So for me, it's funny you asked me that question because that's how it started with after with the man clearing, right?
Yeah.
So I had that awakening, and I really went down to the rabbit hole on so many different aspects. And I don't mean to say that I know the truth, but lots of lies has been uncovered in my eyes. And I'm not being political, right? I mean, I think that it's a uniparty anyway, right? I mean, that's what I think. Yeah.
True. Yeah.
So yeah. So there's an agenda, and the agenda has to do a lot with World Economic Forum, right? And so we are a turning point. I think, I mean, that's an interesting question because I think we are on a crossroad here, right?
Yeah.
It's such a privilege to live on at this time because either we go with technocracy, with transhumanism, right, which is the agenda, right, meaning that AI is going to, control everything, and even from the inside, right?
Yeah.
According to Harari, right? In his book, it's from the inside. So we're going to lose our connection with spirituality as who make us who we are, right? Or like this technique can allow you to connect more with your spirit, right? And just to, so I think that's why the technique came to me, because at that crucial point, at that crucial crossroad, either we go one way or the other. I mean, people who want to go with more technology and things like that, of course, that's their choices. But, we need to have another choice. And I think mind clearing is a part of the solution. And I will
So,
explain why.
yeah, for sure. Well, I was thinking about that the other day. I was driving around thinking my whole life has been a part of being told half truths or non-truths from history books of the way
Non-truth, yeah.
yeah, of the
Yeah,
way America,
everything.
yeah, the way we colonized this country to everything we've done to get to be this superpower, like all of these things. And governments do that historically. It's like, history
Of
is written
course.
by the winners, and we're told what they want us to.
Joe, government means mind control. That's
Okay.
literally what it means.
Yeah.
Yeah, gouverner, and mind is and gouverner, so it's like govern, right? And control, and mind is meant, right? So if you look at the origin of even the word, that's it, just say it, right? It's mind control.
Yeah.
And so when you realize that, and really because I knew in my field, in health, I knew about the pharmaceutical industry, right? I knew their game because I'm an alternative, which I don't like. I'm a holistic doctor, right? So I knew all that, right? But when it started to go global, I said, wait a minute, this is way too much. Now now you got my attention. And that's how I started really to go and realize all the BS we've been told, right? I mean, like you say, history. Well, if there's already, they accuse you of misinformation, right? And there's something that is funny because they say, oh, don't spread misinformation. Let the professional doing it, right? It was
Yeah.
such a good, cool meme, right? And that's what this is about. So imagine if already now we've got misinformation. So imagine the past, the history,
Yeah.
how change it has been, right?
Yeah. Totally.
That's pretty logical. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's get to the heart and soul of what you do on a daily basis. And to do that, I'm going to put you in front of a bunch of grade school kids, sixth graders. It's
Sure.
career day. And one of the kids is like, hey, what do you do for a living? How do you answer them?
I empower people to heal themselves, to transform themselves, and to grow.
So, what did you want to be when you were a kid? When you were in the sixth grade, what was your dream life?
Oh, I don't know. I think a fireman like came up, right? I just don't. I was in France, right? So I was not really sure, but sure enough, I started to do some electronic stuff. I wanted to travel for sure. freedom was so important. There's three things that are important for me, and they all related to each other, right? It's truth, knowledge, and freedom, and they all, works together, right? If you don't have the knowledge to know the truth, that's going to be hard, right? And I believe there's some universal law and like the law of nature, and there's some universal truth, right? Contrary to what they want to tell us now. Oh, it's truth is subjective, and no, that's a bunch of years. No.
Right. So how,
Now I'm done. I'm not saying that I've got the truth, right?
right.
I'm not saying that,
Yeah.
but I'm looking for always, and I know it's a journey, it's a never-ending journey, but I love to peel the layer, right? And more understanding you've got, more awakened. Like it's awakening is a process in my book, right? You're never awake. So the awakening process, you start to have more distance. You become really more the observer, like they say, about what's, and you can see the bullshit right away,
Yeah,
right?
certainly. So take me back to your childhood in France. What were these foundational seeds that were planted into you to seek the truth, to seek knowledge, to seek a better way?
Well, sure, it comes from my dad because my dad was very negative and controlling. So he basically showed me what not to do. And
Yeah.
so obviously I wanted the freedom, right? So when somebody controls you, you want the opposite, right? Or you go with it. I didn't go with it. And so I wanted the opposite. So of course, what is the symbol of freedom? A sailing boat. I mean, for a man, I mean, it can be a bird, but it's hard for a man to be a bird, right? So the sailing boat, because it works with nature, you have to have the wind, and it's like, yeah. So of course, I live on my boat, my sailing boat for 7 years, and of course, I had a boat rental business, right?
Yeah.
So that's why. Mhm.
So what,
So, it was a blessing. It was a
yeah,
blessing, right? I mean, because that guy never had a good life, right?
right.
I think I love the way my life unfolded. I have no regrets. I will do it again.
So what brought you to America and what specifically brought you to Kansas City?
Well, as I say, I was like, renting boat in south of France and living on my boat, manning my own business, and I had a calling. I saw myself helping people, right? And when you've got a calling, there's no yes, maybe. I mean, there's no maybe, right? You just have to do it. You know that you know. It's kind of like a strong intuition, if you want.
Yeah.
And so I started to look around because nobody in my family, was involved with health. So anyway, I can tell the story later on if you want. But yeah, and after ending up, become a chiropractic physician in America, right? And marry a French girl there, in a bar, met her in a bar in Kansas City. The Levy, I don't know if you know, it's a jazz bar by Main Street. I don't know if you know that jazz bar. It's called the Levy.
Yeah, the levee. Absolutely. Yeah. I
Yeah, that's why I met her.
wow. I,
There
I
was that black guy at the time that was, I don't remember his name. He was kind of old, a guitar player,
Sonny
and he
Kenner.
was even very well known. Yes, that's it.
I loved it. I used to watch him all the time there. I love Sonny Kenner.
Yeah. Uh, uh, uh,
Wow.
uh.
That's wild. Um,
I remember he was on black and white TV, right? At that time. That's what I've seen of him anyway.
yeah. Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember those days. So, uh,
Yeah.
who's been a hero for you? You know, you mentioned your dad, but who has been like a positive, heroic force for you in your life?
My grandpa.
Yeah.
My grandpa, I really had the same, how can I say, I had the same. We've got the same kind of path in a way. He came from Spain. All my family is origin from Spain, right? And so I'm the second generation French, right? So he was an immigrant like I am, right? He was living his passion. His passion was his back, right? I mean, he was like a bicycle rider. He was doing competition when he was young. He opened a back shop and he died on his back,
Oh, wow.
right? I mean, he died with, there was my dad and my uncle, and he was the first one going, and a car just came and killed him, right? And
Wow.
he had the skull open and all that. I don't mean to be too graphic, and he loved life. I remember he used to take his pulse and feeling the life within him. So
Yeah.
he was like full of life. And I think I'm pretty much, I mean, you look at my path, I'm living my passion too, which is the healing heart, right? And also I'm just, Yeah, and he aged pretty well. I'm 62 years old. I'm in martial art. I used to do tennis. I'm very active, and I think I'm in good shape, right? So I was like him in a way, right? I am like him in a way, and I hope I will die practicing my art.
Yeah.
Really, that's really
Yeah.
what I want. I would love
That's
to have the same thing, right?
yeah. So tell me when you had this epiphany and you went after this life, what was the moment that you knew it was right? Who was the first client? What was the first glint in somebody's eye? When did you know it was right?
Well, when I was in south of France at that calling, I knew it was right. I mean,
Yeah.
there was no discussion, like there's no doubt and things like that. But after how to do it, right? So I started to investigate, right? My family, nobody was involved with any health issue, not even a nurse, right? So I started to talk to my clients. So I said, you know what? It's like there's a wall and I need to have a door to find a door to go to the other side, right? And finally, one of my clients told me, hey, Alan, I've got a Chinese doctor that is coming to town like for the weekend. Maybe you should talk to him. I say, heck yes, I want to talk to him, right? So I did talk to him, and we started that conversation. And he said, okay, you need to read those 3 books, and after you need to come to visit me. After when the season is over. So the 3 books were one was the Tao Te Ching, which is a pretty deep book, philosophical Chinese book, right? The Tao. And after there was like the Hara, Hara, which is basically Joe about like that's where when the Japanese people when they do harakiri, right? When they because they have been dishonored or they fail on what they were supposed to do, they will kill themselves. And traditionally, they will use a knife and go underneath the belly button and open themselves up because this is the center of gravity. So there's an entire posture and philosophy that come with it. And the final book was more philosophical also, but about acupuncture. It was the man between the sky and earth. And sure enough, after the season was over, I went to see him, give me a treatment, we start talk, right? And we start talking. And so I investigate about, to become a Chinese doctor, right? Well, he told me if you really want to know what you're doing, you need to do like I did, right? You spend 10 years in China, learn Chinese, study all the texts, all the facets of what it is and what it means to be a Chinese doctor. And I was 30 years old at that time. So I said, well, his name was Philip, French guy, right? And I said, man, Philip, one day I want to practice, right? So he looked at me and said, you know what? You look strong. Why not chiropractic? And I said, what's that? So he sent me like gave me some contacts, some French people who went to America to study chiropractic. And I got some information from one of the school he recommended. And what I really loved, Joe, about that was basically the innate intelligence, your ability to heal yourself. That was fascinating to me, right? And so, sure enough, well, by the way, I remember, like, one of my best friends, she's an English teacher. She did translate that because I couldn't understand what. Anyway, so sure enough, the next year I sold my boat, my boat business, and I went up to get my first treatment, right? Okay, so I get my first treatment, which was done by a French woman, of course. It has to be the French connection, right, at that
Yeah.
stage. And so I had my first treatment. I liked it. And after I had to do some prerequisite, I was in South Carolina, in Spartanburg, right? So they sent me to Kansas City, and since I've been there, I came to Kansas City in 1993. I graduated from Cleveland Chiropractic School, right? And in 3 years, and I started to do chiropractic, right? But here's the thing. I was treating people, right? And so they get better at the beginning and after they plateau, actually pretty soon, most of the time. And so, and in order to maintain the plateau, right, still have to come again and again. I thought there was something wrong because in my book, when you've got a problem, Joe, and that problem can be any problem, a health problem, a prosperity problem, a relationship problem, you need to know 2 things to be done with a problem, meaning we move on. This is history, right?
Yeah.
And so the first thing will be that, hey, you need to find what's causing the problem, right? If you don't know what's causing the problem, how can you fix it, right? So that's number one. And number two, you need to know how to fix it. No? So when you know what's causing the problem, you need to know how to fix it. You have no more problem, right? And so since, I really wanted to have some, I mean, to me, it was so important to have the biggest impact to help people again to empower themselves, right? That was so important. That innate intelligence, what I've been told. I don't know if in chiropractic we were using all that. We were able to really have a patient to connect to that and be helped, right? So I decided to study more of the chemical stress, what we call the inflammation in your body, right? So I become a specialist in that, and I will muscle test, which is a tool. We muscle test your organs, and your body will tell me, which organ under stress and what's causing the stress. So I made a really a good practice out of that. I was seeing 250 patients a week. I had 4 employees. I was living the American dream, like I was living in Leawood, Prairie Village actually, and all that, the big house, big neighborhood. And I thought I was doing the right thing, right, Joe? I mean, I was living my passion. I was helping a ton of people. But when you think you got it, right, that's when life will take care of that,
Yeah.
right? And so what happened, because I was thinking only about my the practice, my client, and I was married to, and I had a daughter, her name is Maya, uh, um, with that French woman, right? And so when I was coming back home, it's like I was there, but I was not present, right? So the relationship started to go down the drain. And within a year, Joe, I ended up like divorcing, right? And because I got depressed and I lost my juice, literally, my passion of doing what I do, I cannot believe I lost it, but I did. And so I lost my clarity, my focus, and well, my practice went from thriving to failing. I ended up to be by myself in this big treatment room office, right? And actually, I lived there, right? I mean, I thought, hey, you know what? They used to call me the gypsy in south of France, so I could sleep anywhere, right? So I say, well, and don't get me wrong, that office was pretty nice, right? So I did install a shower, and I said, oh, it's only 6 months, right? 3 years later, I was still stuck in my office. And after what really sealed the deal in a way, ironically, right? It's like I got diagnosed with early stage of colon cancer. So I was the cherry on the cake because even I was doing my own program, right? I was helping people, but not enough, it looks like, because I got diagnosed with a second killer in this country.
Wow.
So that was a turning point for me. I really wanted to find out, okay, because I was not a victim. Remember, I talked about my dad. My dad was sick, right? Because when you're negative, not only you send a bad vibe to the people that you love and surround you, but mainly to yourself, right? All your cells become negative. So, of course, he got sick, right? And so at 40 years old, he was on disability. I never got out of it, never got better. And so why? Because he was on a victim mode, right? So what does it mean, the victim mode? The victim mode means basically, Joe, that he identified with his disease because people will call him and say, "Oh, Jean, how are you doing?" That meanings, did you puke? He was puking after every meal. Right? This guy was literally puking his life out.
Wow.
That's a metaphor that's pretty accurate, right? For some program he had in his subconscious mind. Now I know. And so what happened, Joe, he just so you after when you like that, you say, oh, subconsciously and or consciously, it's possible, but you say, oh yeah, people call me because I'm sick. They give me the attention, the love because I'm sick. So if I'm not sick, I'm not going to get any of this, right? And so you caught up on that loop, right? And that victim mode, blaming the circumstances. I could have blamed my wife. I could have blamed my circumstances for what happened to me. But my dad showed me, and thanks God, but that's not the way to go. You've got the choice between a victim or become really the creator that as a human being, as a person you're supposed to be, right? And so sure enough, I say, okay, what are the forces behind? Yeah, what are the forces that are pushing me to sabotage my health, my relationship, and my prosperity, right? And so that has been, the starting point, if you want to really answer your question, okay, I need to find out what's going on here.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. If you were to walk into a room of all of your clients, colleagues, everyone that you've worked with, and you walk up to a podium and you could tell them one fun thing about you, a fun fact, something that they wouldn't know about you, what would you tell that room?
What do you mean by fun fact? It
Just
has to be
something
funny.
fun, something that's not business, something that's more like personal, but just a fun thing about you, a fun story.
About me?
Yeah.
Oh, so I realize how powerful I am. And so that's why, by creating that mind clearing, I realize how, because it's people healing themselves, right? Remember, like, the innate intelligence. We have no idea how powerful we are. And I still am sure getting all the treatment because I can treat myself how powerful I am. Because here's the thing, Joe. It's like when you start to study the mind, there's few facts that are mind blowing, if I can say that, right? The first one is like, it's kind of like, Joe, we're living in two separate worlds at the same time. So what do I mean by that? I mean that we've got the inner world and the outer world. So, what is the outer world, Joe? The outer world is like what we call your conscious mind. So, it's your self identity. It's you as Joe. It's me as Alan or Dr. Alan, right? This is my self identity. It's your personality. It's what you basically are aware of your mind, right? So, basically, your thought, your emotion, your behavior, your action, what you think you can do, what you think you cannot do, how you perceive reality outside, right? And so so the inner world, it's called the unconscious. We're going to call it, to keep it simple, the subconscious mind, right? And so the subconscious mind is it things you're not totally aware of. I mean, not a lot aware of actually, and it's mysterious. You just don't know what's going on there, right? And so the subconscious mind, you'll record everything you have been doing from age zero to now, right? And also, it's where your skills are stored as a man, your skill as a podcaster, your skill, whatever job you're doing, right? But also, it's like all the automatic things that are happening to your body, right? We call that the autonomic nervous system, right? Which should have been called automatic nervous system. So your heartbeat, your breathing, you don't have to think about it. That's working automatically. That's stored in your subconscious mind. But more than anything, it's like your subconscious mind is so powerful,
Yeah.
right? Because when you start to dig and get knowledge about it, what you realize that our conscious mind, who you think you are, process data at 11 bits per second. Your subconscious mind, Joe, process data at 11 million bits per second. 1 million times faster, right? So that's crazy. But the second one, okay, if some people are standing up, I will advise you to sit down because that's going to shock you what I'm going to tell you right now. When I first read that, I said, what the heck? I couldn't believe it. So here it is. Your conscious mind, Joe, depends who you're reading, it's only 5 or 10% of your mind. So meaning that 90 to 95% of your mind is the subconscious mind, right?
Yep.
So it means that when you want to heal, to grow, and to transform yourself, you focus only on your conscious mind, which is only using only 5 or 10% of your mind power or your brain power. So I was thinking, hey, you know what, Joe? What if we bring that 90 to 95% of your mind power to the party? What if we bring the subconscious mind to the party, right? I mean, it should be spectacular,
Yeah.
and it is.
Yeah. So, what of everything that you've done in your life, what are you the proudest of?
Um, be open-minded.
Yeah.
So it means that in a way, I never been brainwashed by the school. Remember, I had those free books that were my foundation too. I mean, I have to give credit to that Chinese doctor, right? But I never settle. I never think I'm the master. I've always been a student. I know I will always be a student till the rest of my life, right? No matter knowledge and truth and freedom, I think I've got. Doesn't matter. It's a journey. It's a never-ending journey. So I'm always curious and want to learn. And be open-minded. What does it mean? It means if there's a problem or something you want to study, when you close-minded, you think there's only one solution. And sometimes you don't even see the solution because you are so close-minded, right? When you are open-minded, you consider the solution. It doesn't mean that you're going to consider everything. You need to use your intuition and things like that. But you give it some thought, right? You don't say, so many of my family members, of course, including my dad, right? You say, oh, no, no, this is not possible, right? And I stop and say, why not?
Yeah.
Right? Why not? The most powerful question in life is why.
Yeah.
That comes from your heart. That comes from your intention. That comes from your purpose. That's the why, right? It's the most powerful um, things in the world. And I can develop on that if you want. But so that's the thing that I don't know if I'm proud, but I will say that's the thing I've been blessed with.
Yeah. So I think we've scratched the surface here. I wanted to really open the door for everyone to
Yes,
reach out to
sure.
you. So how can people reach out? How can people get involved? What's the best way to hire you? All the good business.
Well, first of all, you go to my website, right? And there's a ton of testimonial here. My website is called themindclearing.com, themindclearing.com, and you will see how we can bring the subconscious mind to the party, right? And so people, there's different program, and I'm sure I will have hope that could go into that, but that's fine. So you got some programs that are not good for you, right? Or not serving you, we call that limiting belief, and they are stored in your subconscious mind. And so the goal of a mind clearing technique is to, first of all, delete those limiting program, replace them by empowering one, and step number three, to make sure that you create what you want in the screen of life, right? So that's why the mind clearing. So limiting beliefs are not only about not good enough and all that. They create pain. They create symptoms. They create inflammation in your body. They can prevent you to reach your goal. So I've got basically three programs. The one is the Mind Clearing Basic, right? Go on my website. I'm sure you can see it. Mind Clearing Basic. The second one is called the Body Clearing, which is more clearing pain, symptom, and inflammation in your body. And the third one is called Goal and Success Clearing, right? So if you really, because what I love about this, it's like really you are doing the healing. You are the one who's doing the deprogramming. You are the one who are downloading the program. I'm just a guide helping you to customize. I'm just giving you the technology to literally transform yourself and heal yourself by yourself, right? I'm just a guide, and we customize the different program to yourself. But what I want to say, first of all, we don't have any clue how powerful we are.
Yeah.
When we connect more and more to our spirit by getting rid of the limiting belief. And the second thing, there's hope. If you think you have been going everywhere and try everything with no success, that's more towards the cause of the problem, remember, and how to fix it is the mind clearing. So that's what
That's
I wanted to say.
wonderful.
Oh, I've got a 20. Yeah.
No, go ahead. No,
Yeah,
go
I've
ahead.
got a 20% discount if you even mention your podcast. So
Okay.
if you want to get a treatment, because true knowledge is about experiencing things, right? I mean, we can talk about that forever, but till you experience, you don't know really, right?
Yeah.
And so I've got 20% off of treatment, right? So you can go to my contact form, right? You go to contact form. I've got also an email, and you contact me and say, I'm interested to give it a shot. And we can treat pain, we can treat negative emotion that bothers you, whatever bothers you, really, and you want to get rid of, we'll treat that. And for example, to treat pain, it takes a couple of visits for 80% of the time, and the pain is gone, right?
Okay.
Especially if it's a long-term pain. And after, if you want to learn it for yourself, to get empowered, to be able to learn it for yourself, and to be able to treat your loved one, you don't have to have no knowledge about health, about relationship, and about prosperity. You don't have to. And so what you can do, you can learn it yourself. And if you learn the entire program, which is the three things that I've got, the mind clearing basic, the body clearing, and the goal and success clearing, I give 50% off.
Okay. Well, we scratched the surface. We got into it. Hopefully, we've opened the
Oh,
door for people.
literally.
Yeah, I will
Yeah.
put the links in the show notes. It's so great to meet you. It's wonderful that we're in the 816. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It is crazy.
Take care. Thank you,
Best
Joe,
of,
for
thank
having
you.
me. Yeah, it is crazy.
Absolutely. Take care.
Hello, friends. Joe Dimino here. I just wanted to let you know that after 30 years or so, I have finally released my first book of poetry through the mighty Spartan Press here in Kansas City, Missouri. As the creator and host of both Neon Jazz Radio and the Famous Interviews with Joe Dimino podcast, along with being a visual artist, I'm ready to embark on a new adventure and want you to be a part of it. You can get a copy online via Barnes & Noble, Amazon, and actually on the streets in Kansas City at the great Prospero's bookstore off 39th Street. You can also visit joedimino.com for links to the book, to more poetry, and everything in my world, including paintings. Thanks for all of the love and support over the years, and please dig the words.